Georgia's life is a whole roller coaster that needs a minute to unpack. She has been through so much, has done so much, both good and bad, for herself and her kids. And in this video, we're going to take a look at where it all began.
There was no one protected me, Jenny. No one.
When Georgia was very young, her father got arrested in New Mexico. Georgia's mother got remarried to another man called Ed Atkins, and when Georgia was 6 years old, she had another child with him called Maddie. Georgia, formerly known as Mary, which is her real name, grew up in a trailer park near the border between Alabama and Georgia. Her home life was not a very good one. She was sexually and physically abused by her stepfather since she was very young, and according to Georgia, her mother never noticed because she was asleep in the next room when it happened.
You think you need to know everything? Well, here it is, darling. I was abused by my stepdad my whole childhood. He molested me most nights, my mom asleep in the next room. That's why I ran away when I was 14. I've been homeless. I've been in jail.
Georgia's mother had issues with substance abuse, so she wasn't any sort of a present and or reliable parent. Georgia was pretty much on her own and was kind of the primary caretaker of her half-sister Maddie. When she was 14, she got into a violent fight with her stepfather, causing her to run away from her home. She ends up meeting a member of a biker gang shortly after, and that's where she changes her name from Mary to Georgia. She meets a guy named Zion who she instantly falls in love with and ends up joining the biker gang called the Blood Eyes along with Zion. Zion and Georgia get together and Georgia gets pregnant at 15 years old. Zion introduces her to his parents in Virginia, who are very supportive of Georgia and take care of everything regarding the pregnancy. However, after Jenny was born, Zion's parents wanted legal guardianship over Jenny so Zion could go back to school and take the load of raising a child off of them. Georgia didn't like that, so she ran away in the middle of the night from Zion and his parents and took Jenny with her. Georgia ended up in New Orleans and started working as a hotel maid, and they were so poor that they couldn't even afford enough food. Sometimes Georgia would stay hungry because she gave her food to Jenny.
Mommy, I'm still hungry. Well, I'm stuffed, so why don't you help me out?
The owner of the hotel, Anthony Green, had a crush on Georgia and offered her an apartment to stay for free and even babysat Jenny for her when necessary. He would always hit on her and try to get her to go out with him, which Georgia refused. At this point, Georgia is broke. She spent a majority of her money on Jenny's hospital bills and she is in desperate need of money. So she starts pokering in order to make money. Her half-sister Maddie shows up, and since Georgia doesn't have enough money or time to take care of both her daughter and her sister, she sends Maddie away. Maddie is furious, and on the way out, she steals Georgia's money hidden under the mattress. I should mention that Maddie ran away from home because her father started abusing her as well and dreaded going back.
Because after you left, he started doing it to me.
Georgia gets caught running this illegal poker game and gets arrested when she's 17 years old. The officer tells her that she could go to juvie for a few months and Jenny will have to be sent to foster care. In a desperate attempt to get her daughter back, she decides to marry Anthony Green, and the relationship becomes abusive and she ends up murdering him via poison. She gets help from the Blood Eyes to get rid of the body, and Anthony Green gets reported as a missing person. Georgia goes back to Zion, who was very angry at Georgia for taking off with Jenny the year prior. Being frustrated having to work at his father's company, he would kinda bring home this frustration. So Georgia decided to raise Jenny largely alone so Zion can go on about his life and chase his actual aspirations. Georgia and Jenny moved to Austin, Texas, where she worked a lot and was struggling to pay for basic needs such as rent, electricity, clothes, and food. She worked over hours and had to shoplift to get by. Eventually, she meets Gail, who claims has a good job. They fall in love quickly, and despite not telling him that she had a daughter, Gail took care of Jenny. At a certain point, however, their relationship turns into a problematic one when Georgia finds out Gail makes his money through criminal ways by embezzling funds through his company. And then Gail starts becoming physically abusive to Georgia. One time, when Zion was coming to visit Jenny, we see Georgia with makeup on her eyes, which we later discover was covering up a bruised eye that she got from Gail. Georgia decides to run away with Jenny, but it isn't long until Georgia finds out she is pregnant with Austin, which left her no choice but to stay in this relationship. And Jill's abuse didn't stop despite Austin being born. We can see here before she pulls her sleeves down that she has marks on her arm. And at this point, she has had enough and decides to get rid of Jill. She writes herself a check of $100,000 that his company is short notice, which left Gail exposed, arrested, and incarcerated for embezzlement.
Open up this door! I'm gonna kill you! I know it was you! And now they hold all my accounts, you go through all my history! I'm gonna go to jail! Open this door!
Georgia goes back to Zion a couple of times afterwards, on and off, dates a couple of other guys, and eventually meets Kenny Drexel while working as a waitress at the Buffalo Hole. The two get married, and Georgia is working as a yoga instructor at one of his yoga studios. Everything is going super well. They live in a beautiful house in Texas, in a wealthy neighborhood. They're secure. Until Georgia catches Kenny touching Ginny inappropriately, and having been sexually abused by her stepfather, she would never allow that to happen to her daughter, so she murders him by making a smoothie with wolfsbane in it, leading him to have a heart attack while driving. Georgia gets his inheritance and moves away to Massachusetts, whatever that word, with her children to start a new life, but unfortunately, you can never outrun your past, and her past was catching up to her really quickly. And that's where the season starts off.
And I may be wrong, and I may be horrible, and I may be ugly and not worthy of anything. Fine. I took all the darkness and I ate it. I became it. I've got a lot of demons, a lot of nightmares in my past, but you have to live for the future.